Beneath the bustling streets of modern Mournhold, where the lanterns of the living cast golden halos on cobblestone and the voices of merchants echo through the night, there lies another world, one forgotten by all but the most persistent memories. This is Old Mournhold, a city of stone and shadow, where time itself seems to slow and the air grows thick with the weight of centuries. Here, the earth is cool and damp, and the silence is broken only by the distant drip of water from fractured ceilings, the slow, patient work of time eroding the grandeur of what once was. The entrance to Old Mournhold is hidden from the casual passerby, tucked away in the labyrinthine underbelly of the city. Some say the passage is marked by a door of black iron, half swallowed by moss and shadow, while others whisper of secret stairways revealed only to those who know the right words to speak at midnight. However one finds their way below, the descent is always the same, a spiral staircase, its steps worn smooth by countless feet, winding ever downward until the last sliver of daylight is lost and the world above becomes a distant memory. As you step into the ancient corridors, the first sensation is one of profound stillness. The air is cool, almost cold, and carries the faint scent of old stone and dust. Your footsteps echo softly, swallowed quickly by the vastness of the halls. The walls here are carved from dark basalt, veined with silver and green, their surfaces etched with the faded patterns of chimer artisans, swirling motifs of stars, moons, and the ever-watchful eyes of forgotten gods. In places, the carvings are worn away, smoothed by the touch of generations, but their presence lingers, a silent testament to the city's former glory. Old Mournhold was once the heart of Restain, a city of spires and psalm, where the chimer and dweemer walked as uneasy neighbors, and the tribunal's whispers first took root. Its plazas rang with laughter, its temples with the clang of bells at dawn, and its markets with the vibrant chatter of traders from every corner of Tamriel. Now, those sounds are gone, replaced by the quiet drip of water and the occasional sigh of a distant draft. The city is a skeleton, its bones preserved beneath the living streets, waiting for the rare visitor who dares to walk among its memories. As you move deeper, the light fades, replaced by a gentle, phosphorescent glow that emanates from patches of lichen clinging to the walls and ceilings. These ghostly lights cast shifting patterns across the floor, illuminating fragments of mosaic tile and the shattered remains of marble columns. In the distance, the faint outline of an archway beckons, its keystone carved with the sigil of Almalexia, a reminder that even here, in the depths, the gods are never far away. The silence is not complete. In the stillness, you begin to notice the subtle sounds that fill the air, the soft rustle of dust disturbed by your passing, the distant trickle of water as it finds its way through ancient cracks, and, perhaps, the faintest echo of voices. Too soft to understand, yet unmistakably present. These are the ghosts of Old Mournhold, the lingering spirits of those who once called this place home. Some are gentle, their presence felt as a sudden warmth or the delicate scent of incense. Others are restless, their sorrow and anger woven into the very stones. It is said that the ghosts of Old Mournhold are drawn to the places where their lives were most entwined with the city. In the ruined plazas, you might sense the laughter of children, their joy lingering in the air like the last notes of a lullaby. In the silent chambers of the council hall, the shade of a nobleman paces, his footsteps echoing with the weight of betrayal and regret. Each spirit is a thread in the tapestry of the city's history, their stories waiting to be discovered by those who listen closely. Among the spirits is Serifi, a priestess who once tended the shrines of Almalexia. Her presence is a gentle one, felt in the faint scent of myrrh and the soft rustle of silk. She lingers near the old temple, her devotion echoing through the marble corridors where she once knelt in prayer. Sometimes, if you're quiet, you might hear her voice, singing the old hymns in a language forgotten by the world above. Not all ghosts are so serene. The restless shade of Vorin, a young noble slain in the city's fall, haunts the shattered council chambers. His voice, a mournful wail, weaves through the darkness, lamenting the betrayal that doomed his kin. His sorrow is palpable, a chill that seeps into your bones and lingers long after you have moved on. Vorin's story is one of ambition and loss, a reminder that even the greatest among us are not immune to the whims of fate. The city itself is shaped by tragedy. When Maroon's Dagon's fire swept through Mournhold, stone melted and dreams turned to ash. Survivors fled above ground, leaving behind treasures, secrets, and the spirits of those who could not escape. The fire left its mark on the city's bones, walls blackened and cracked, statues toppled and broken, mosaics shattered into 1,000 pieces. Yet, in the midst of ruin, beauty endures. A single stained glass window, miraculously intact, casts a rainbow of colors across the floor. A fragment of a mural, its paint still vibrant, tells the story of the city's founding. Some say the tribunal themselves walked these halls in memory, their shadows flickering on ancient walls. Almalexia's presence lingers most strongly, a gentle warmth that soothes the restless dead and brings peace to the haunted stones. In the Hall of Lamps, where once 1,000 lanterns burned to guide the faithful, only spectral lights remain. They float in the gloom, illuminating faded murals that tell the city's story, of hope, of hubris, and of the gods' silent tears. The ghosts are not alone. Deep beneath the city, the sound of chitinous feet reveals the presence of ancestral Nyx hounds, their forms half seen in the mist. They guard the tombs of forgotten kings, loyal even in death. Their eyes gleam in the darkness, watchful and unafraid, a reminder that the line between life and death is thin in this place. A gentle rain falls above, its rhythm seeping through cracks in the stone. The spirits gather in the old amphitheater, drawn by the memory of music. Faint strains of lutes and drums echo through the darkness, and for a moment, joy returns to the city's heart. The ghosts dance, their forms shimmering like moonlight on water, their laughter a balm to the wounded stones. In the Library of Twilight, spectral scholars pore over books that crumble at a touch. Here, the knowledge of ages is preserved in whispers, and the ghosts recite ancient poems to one another, their voices weaving a tapestry of memory. The city's wells still run deep, their waters cool and clear. Some say that to drink from them is to taste the past, to feel the sorrow and hope of those who lived and died here. The ghosts gather at the wells, sharing stories as the water reflects their shimmering forms. Not all spirits are content. Some, twisted by anger and regret, haunt the city's edges. They lash out at intruders, their pain a warning to the living. Respect the dead, and tread softly in the realm of memory. A gentle wind stirs, carrying the sin of salt and ash. It moves through the city's empty streets, lifting dust from forgotten altars and stirring the banners that once proclaimed the glory of Mournhold. In the deepest crypt, a council of spirits gathers. Here, the city's greatest minds debate the meaning of their fate, seeking solace in shared memory and the hope that, one day, their story will be heard by the living. Above, the world moves on. New Mournhold rises, its towers gleaming in the sunlight. Yet the old city endures, a secret world beneath the feet of the living, its ghosts keeping watch over the dreams and sorrows of the past. Sometimes, a living soul finds their way below, a lost child, a curious scholar, a priest seeking guidance. The ghosts watch in silence, their presence a gentle reassurance, their stories waiting to be discovered. As night falls, the city grows quieter still. The spirits gather in the Temple of the One, their forms bathed in moonlight. Together, they sing the old songs, their voices rising in a lullaby that soothes the stones and brings peace to the restless. The ghosts of Old Mournhold do not seek vengeance for glory. They are keepers of memory, guardians of a city that once was and may yet be again. In their company, the past is never truly lost, but held in gentle hands and whispered on the wind. And so, Old Mournhold endures, its stones cradling the dreams of the dead, its halls echoing with stories untold. In the quiet darkness, the ghosts keep watch, their presence a comfort to those who remember, and a promise that, in Tamriel, nothing is ever truly forgotten. In the heart of Old Mournhold, where the stones themselves whisper secrets and the air shivers with the memory of lost voices, the city's true nature begins to reveal itself. As you wander deeper, the passageways narrow, and the faint glow of lichen becomes your only guide. Each step takes you further from the world above, and closer to the hidden heart of the city, where the past lingers like a mist, and the presence of the departed grows ever stronger. The corridors twist and turn, sometimes opening into wide halls where the ceiling arches high overhead, supported by pillars carved in the likeness of ancient saints and forgotten kings. Here, the faces of the past stare down in silent judgment, their features softened by centuries of shadow and dust. In other places, the passages shrink, forcing you to stoop beneath sagging arches, the stones slick with the slow seep of underground springs. The air is cool and damp, carrying the faint scent of earth and the lingering trace of incense burned long ago. It is in these quiet, hidden places that the ghosts of Old Mournhold are most at home. They drift through the darkness, their forms barely visible in the dim light, sometimes no more than a shimmer, a suggestion of movement at the edge of sight. Yet their presence is unmistakable. The hairs on your arms rise, and a gentle chill caresses your skin. Sometimes you hear the faintest whisper, words in a language you do not know, or perhaps the echo of a lullaby sung to comfort a frightened child. In one such chamber, you pause. The room is circular, its walls lined with alcoves that once held offerings to the gods. Now, only a few broken statues remain, their features worn smooth by time. In the center of the floor, a mosaic depicts the three faces of the tribunal, Vivek, Sothasil, and Almalexia, each rendered in colored stone, their eyes gazing out in all directions. The mosaic is cracked, the colors faded, but the artistry is undeniable. You feel the weight of 1,000 prayers, uttered in hope and desperation, lingering in the air. It is here that you first encounter the spirit of Sarifi, the priestess. Her presence is gentle, almost maternal. She appears as a faint glow, her form outlined in soft silver light. Her robes, once the deep blue of twilight, now shimmer with the translucence of memory. As she moves, the air stirs, carrying the scent of myrrh and the faintest echo of them. She does not speak, but her gaze is kind, and you feel a sense of peace settle over you. For a moment, the burdens of the world above are lifted, and you are simply a guest in her sacred hall. Sarifi's devotion to Almalexia was legendary in her time. She tended the shrines with tireless care, ensuring that the lamps were always lit and the offerings fresh. In the days before the city's fall, she was a source of comfort to all who sought solace in the temple. Now, she remains as a guardian, watching over the sacred places and offering comfort to the lost souls who wander these halls. Her presence is a balm to the restless dead, and even the most troubled spirits are soothed by her gentle touch. As you continue your journey, you pass through a series of chambers that once served as the city's heart. Here, the walls are adorned with murals, their colors faded but still vibrant in places. Scenes of daily life, merchants in the market, children at play, priests leading processions, are depicted in loving detail. These images are a window into a world long gone, a reminder that Old Mournhold was once a place of life and joy, not just sorrow and loss. Yet, beneath the surface, there is a sense of unease. The city's fall was sudden and violent, and the scars of that day are still visible. In one chamber, the walls are blackened by fire, the stones cracked and crumbling. The air here is heavy, and the silence is deeper, as if the very stones are mourning the lives lost in the flames. It is said that on nights when the moon is full, the cries of the dying can still be heard, echoing through the corridors like a distant storm. It is in these haunted places that the spirit of Voren lingers. Once a nobleman of great promise, Voren was caught in the city's final hours, betrayed by those he trusted most. His shade is a restless one, forever pacing the ruined council chamber, his voice a mournful wail that chills the blood. He is not malevolent, but his sorrow is a palpable thing, a weight that presses down on all who enter his domain. To encounter Voren is to be reminded of the fragility of trust and the terrible cost of betrayal. Yet, even in the darkest corners of Old Mournhold, there are moments of beauty. In a forgotten garden, you find a single flower blooming amid the rubble, its petals pale and delicate, its fragrance sweet and faint. It is a reminder that life endures, even in the shadow of death. The ghosts of the city, too, are not merely echoes of sorrow. Many are content, their lives remembered with fondness and their spirits at peace. They gather in the old amphitheater, drawn by the memory of music and laughter, their forms shimmering in the soft glow of moonlight. Here, the air is filled with the faint strains of lutes and drums, the music weaving through the darkness like a comforting embrace. The ghosts dance, their movements graceful and serene, their laughter a gentle balm to the wounded stones. For a moment, the city's sorrow is forgotten, and only joy remains. As you watch, you realize that Old Mournhold is not a place of despair, but of memory. The ghosts who linger here are not trapped, but choosing to remain, guardians of a history that must not be forgotten. They're the keepers of stories, the custodians of dreams. In their company, the past is alive, and the city endures. You move on, your steps guided by the gentle glow of lichen and the soft whispers of the departed. Each chamber holds a new story, a new fragment of the city's soul. In the library of twilight, spectral scholars pore over ancient tomes, their voices weaving a tapestry of knowledge and poetry. In the hall of lamps, ghostly lanterns float in the darkness, illuminating the faded murals that tell the city's tale. The journey through Old Mournhold is one of discovery, not just of the city's history, but of your own place within it. As you walk among the ghosts, you are reminded of the fragility of life, the power of memory, and the enduring strength of hope. The city may be lost to the world above, but here, in the quiet darkness, it lives on. And so you walk, step by step, deeper into the heart of Old Mournhold. The silence is no longer intimidating, but comforting, a reminder that you are never truly alone. The ghosts of the city walk beside you, their stories a gentle lullaby that soothes the soul and invites you to dream. The path winds on, deeper into the belly of Old Mournhold, where the air grows heavier and the silence settles like a velvet shroud. Here, the city opens into a vast plaza, its flagstones worn smooth by the passage of countless feet that once hurried to market, lingered in conversation, or danced in celebration beneath the open sky. Now, the stones are cold and empty, save for the gentle touch of time and the faint, ghostly echoes of what once was. The plaza is ringed by the broken remnants of colonnades. Pillars of pale stone rise toward the unseen ceiling, some standing proud and straight, others leaning precariously or toppled altogether, their capitals scattered like the bones of ancient giants. Moss creeps up their sides, softening the hard lines and lending the place an air of quiet dignity. Between the columns, shadows pull and shift, and the lichen's faint glow paints everything in shades of blue and green, a perpetual twilight where the past and present mingle. It is here, in this open space, that the city's memory feels strongest. The air is thick with the scent of rain-soaked earth and the faintest trace of something sweet, perhaps the memory of flowers that once bloomed in stone planters, tended by careful hands. The ghosts of Old Mournhold linger at the edges of your vision, never fully seen, yet always present. Sometimes, you catch a flash of movement, a child darting between the pillars, her laughter a whisper on the wind, a pair of lovers standing close beneath a ruined archway, their faces lost to time but their devotion palpable in the hush that surrounds them. You pause at the center of the plaza, where a great fountain once stood. Now, only its basin remains, cracked and dry, its surface etched with scenes of celebration and sorrow. The figures carved into the stone, dancers, musicians, priests, and warriors, seem almost to move in the shifting light, their stories playing out in silent pageantry. You run your hand over the cool stone, feeling the grooves and ridges left by artists long gone, and for a moment, you are connected to them across the gulf of centuries. A sudden breeze stirs, carrying with it the faintest strains of music. You close your eyes and listen, letting the melody wash over you. It is a song both joyful and mournful, filled with longing and hope, a song for the city and for all those who loved it. The ghosts gather closer, drawn by the music and by your quiet presence. They do not speak, but their feelings reach you all the same: gratitude, curiosity, and a gentle yearning for remembrance. As the song fades, you open your eyes and notice a figure standing at the edge of the plaza. She is tall and slender, her form shimmering with a soft, silvery light. Her hair falls in dark waves around her shoulders, and her eyes are deep and kind. She wears the robes of a priestess, their color faded but still rich with the memory of twilight. This is Serifi, the gentle spirit you encountered before, and she smiles as she beckons you to follow her. You move with her through the plaza, your footsteps silent on the ancient stones. She leads you to a small shrine tucked into a corner, its altar covered in dust, and the remains of offerings, withered flowers, broken candles, and the bones of tiny birds. Sarithi kneels before the altar, her hands folded in prayer, and you sense a profound peace settle over the space. The air grows warmer, and the shadows recede, replaced by a gentle golden glow. You kneel beside her, feeling the weight of the city's sorrow and hope pressing in around you. Together, you offer a silent prayer for the dead, for the living, and for the city itself. When you rise, Sarithi's smile is brighter, and her form more solid. She touches your hand, and a wave of warmth flows through you, a blessing and a promise that you are welcome here. Leaving the shrine, you enter the plaza once more, taking in the details you missed before. In one corner, a mural depicts a great festival. The people of Mournhold gathered in celebration beneath banners of gold and crimson. In another, a series of bas-reliefs tells the story of the city's founding, the arrival of the chimer, the uneasy alliance with the dweemer, and the first stones laid in hope and ambition. You realize that every inch of this place is alive with memory. The ghosts do not haunt the city out of malice or regret, but out of love, a love so deep that it endures even after death. They are the caretakers of Mournhold's story, ensuring that it is never truly lost, no matter how many years pass or how many stones crumble to dust. As you prepare to leave the plaza, you feel a gentle tug at your sleeve. Turning, you see a small child, her hair in braids and her eyes bright with curiosity. She smiles shyly and offers you a single, perfect flower, a ghostly bloom that glows with inner light. You accept it, and she giggles before darting away, her laughter echoing through the empty space. You tuck the flower into your pocket, feeling its warmth against her heart. It is a token, a reminder that you are part of this story now, a living thread woven into the tapestry of Old Mournhold. As you move on, the ghosts watch you go, their faces filled with hope and gratitude. You are their witness, their storyteller, and their friend. The path ahead leads into deeper darkness, where the city's secrets grow older and the spirits more elusive. But you are not afraid. The memories of the plaza, the music, the laughter, the gentle touch of Sarithi's hand will guide you, lighting your way through the shadows. And as you walk, you carry with you the promise that as long as someone remembers, Old Mournhold will never truly be lost. You pause before a great archway, its keystone carved with the sigil of Almalexia, a stylized flame cradled by gentle hands. The stone is worn, the edges softened by centuries of touch and time, but the symbol remains clear, a beacon of hope in the darkness. Beyond the arch, a wide hall opens before you, its walls lined with faded frescoes. The scenes depicted are grand and sweeping. The founding of Mournhold, the arrival of the tribunal, the great festivals that once filled these halls with music and laughter. Though the colors have dimmed, the artistry endures, and you find yourself drawn into the stories they tell. As you walk, your footsteps echo softly, the sound swallowed by the vastness of the space. You sense, rather than see, the presence of the city's ghosts, watchful, curious, and quietly welcoming. They linger in the corners of your vision, their forms flickering like candlelight, their faces blurred by the passage of years. Some are content, their spirits at peace, while others carry the weight of sorrow or longing. All are bound to this place, their fates entwined with the stones of Old Mournhold. At the far end of the hall, a grand staircase descends into darkness. The steps are broad and shallow, worn smooth by the passage of countless feet. As you make your way down, the air grows colder, the silence deeper. The only sound is the gentle drip of water echoing from somewhere far below. You reach the bottom and find yourself in a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in shadow. Pillars rise like ancient trees, their surfaces carved with intricate patterns, spirals, stars, and the ever-watchful eyes of forgotten gods. In the center of the chamber stands a great fountain, its basin dry and cracked. Once, water would have flowed here in sparkling arcs, filling the air with music and light. Now, only silence remains, broken by the occasional sigh of a passing spirit. You approach the fountain and run your fingers over the cool stone, feeling the grooves left by the hands of artisans long gone. The carvings tell a story of hope and loss, of a city that reached for the heavens and was brought low by fire and betrayal. As you linger, you become aware of a gentle presence beside you. It is Sarithi, The priestess, her form shimmering with a soft, silvery light. She smiles, her eyes filled with kindness and understanding. Without words, she invites you to sit beside her on the edge of the fountain. You do so, and for a time, you simply sit together in silence, listening to the quiet heartbeat of the city. Sarithi's story unfolds in your mind, woven from fragments of memory and the gentle touch of her spirit. She was born in Mournhold, the daughter of a humble potter and a temple acolyte. From a young age, she was drawn to the sacred, her heart filled with a longing for something greater than herself. She spent her days in the temple, tending the lamps and sweeping the floors, her nights filled with dreams of the gods and the mysteries of the world. As she grew, her devotion deepened. She became a priestess, beloved by all who knew her for her kindness and wisdom. She tended the shrines of Almalexia with tireless care, ensuring that the lamps were always lit and the offerings fresh. In times of trouble, she was a source of comfort and strength, her prayers a balm to the wounded and the weary. Even in the city's darkest hours, she never lost faith, believing that the gods would one day restore Mournhold to its former glory. When the fires came, Sarithi remained in the temple, refusing to abandon her post. She comforted the frightened, tended the wounded, and prayed for deliverance. As the flames swept through the city, she knelt before the altar, her hands raised in supplication. In her final moments, she felt a great peace descend upon her, and she knew that her prayers had been heard. Now, she remains as a guardian of Old Mournhold, her spirit a gentle light in the darkness. As you sit beside her, you feel her blessings settle over you, a warmth that fills your heart and eases your fears. For a moment, you are no longer an outsider, but a part of the city's story, woven into the fabric of its memory. You rise, and Sarithi smiles, her form growing fainter as she fades into the shadows. You know that she will be watching over you as you continue your journey. You leave the fountain chamber and follow a narrow passage that winds deeper into the earth. The air grows colder, the silence more profound. You pass through a series of small rooms, each one filled with the remnants of lives once lived. A broken chair, a faded tapestry, a child's toy carved from bone. In each room, you sense the presence of the city's ghosts, some curious, others shy, all quietly watching as you pass. At last, you emerge into a small courtyard, open to the sky. Here, the stones are covered in moss and lichen, their surfaces slick with moisture. A single tree grows in the center of the courtyard, its branches twisted and bare. You approach and place your hand on its trunk, feeling the rough bark beneath your fingers. The tree is old, older than the city itself, its roots reaching deep into the earth. You sense a great wisdom here, a connection to the land that endures even as the city crumbles. As you stand in the courtyard, you hear the distant sound of music, a flute, soft and mournful, weaving through the air like a thread of silver. The ghosts gather around you, their forms flickering in the twilight. They do not speak, but their presence is a comfort, a reminder that you are never truly alone. Together, you listen to the music, letting it wash over you like a gentle rain. The night deepens, and the city grows quiet. The ghosts drift away, their forms dissolving into the shadows. You are left alone in the courtyard, the music fading into silence. You close your eyes and breathe in the cool air, feeling the weight of the city's history settle around you. For a moment, you are at peace, a part of something greater than yourself. When you open your eyes, the first light of dawn is filtering through the branches of the old tree. The city is still and silent, the ghosts at rest. You know that your journey is far from over, that there are still many secrets to uncover, many stories to hear. But for now, you are content to simply be, to stand in the heart of Old Mournhold, surrounded by the memories of those who came before. With a final glance at the ancient tree, you turn and make your way back through the winding corridors, your heart filled with gratitude and wonder. The city's ghosts watch you go, their faces filled with hope and longing. You're their witness, their storyteller, and their friend. And as you walk, you carry with you the promise that as long as someone remembers, Old Mournhold will never truly be lost. At last, you come to a doorway framed in pale marble, its lintel inscribed with curling script that glimmers faintly in the lichen's glow. Beyond lies the Hall of Lamps, a place once renowned throughout Mournhold for its beauty and tranquility. You step inside, and the world changes. The hall stretches before you, vast and silent, its ceiling lost in darkness high above. Once, 1,000 lanterns hung from delicate chains, their flames casting golden light across the polished floor and filling the air with the scent of scented oils and beeswax. Now, the lanterns are gone, their metalwork rusted and their glass shattered, but in their place float spectral lights, soft orbs of blue and silver that drift gently through the air, illuminating the hall with an otherworldly glow. The effect is mesmerizing. The lights dance and swirl, casting shifting patterns across the floor and walls. They gather in clusters above the faded mosaics, their glow bringing new life to the ancient scenes. Processions of priests in flowing robes, children playing beneath banners of gold and crimson, the city's founders laying the first stones with hopeful hands. In the quiet, you can almost hear the distant murmur of voices, the laughter of children, the soft strains of music drifting from a hidden corner. You walk slowly through the hall, your footsteps muffled by the thick layer of dust that blankets the floor. The air is cool and fragrant, carrying the faint scent of incense and old stone. The spectral lights drift closer, drawn by your presence. One brushes past your cheek, leaving a tingling warmth in its wake. Another hovers before you, pulsing gently as if in greeting. You reach out, and for a moment, your fingers pass through the light. It feels like cool water or the touch of a gentle breeze. As you move deeper into the hall, you notice that the lights are not alone. Shadows flicker at the edges of the room, coalescing into the faint outlines of figures. Some are tall and regal, their forms draped in the robes of priests and priestesses. Others are smaller, the shapes of children chasing one another through the air. They move with purpose, tending to invisible tasks, lighting lanterns, sweeping the floor, arranging offerings on the long-forgotten altars. Their faces are indistinct, blurred by the passage of time, but their presence is unmistakable. You pause before a great mural that covers one wall of the hall. It depicts the city at its height, a place of beauty and light, where the gods walked among mortals and the air was filled with song. The mural is faded and cracked, but the artistry is still clear. The careful brushstrokes, the vibrant colors, the sense of hope and possibility that radiates from every figure. The spectral lights gather before the mural, their glow illuminating the details and casting the scene in a gentle, dreamlike haze. A sense of longing fills you, a longing for a world that is gone, but not forgotten. The ghosts of Old Mournhold linger here not out of regret, but out of love. They are the keepers of memory, the guardians of a city that endures in the hearts of those who remember. Their presence is a comfort, a reminder that the past is never truly lost as long as someone cares to remember. You sit on a low bench at the edge of the hall, watching the lights drift and dance. Time seems to slow, the silence deepening until it becomes a kind of music, a lullaby for the soul. The ghosts move around you, their forms growing clearer as you relax and let yourself sink into the rhythm of the place. You see a priestess lighting a lantern, her hands steady and sure. A child runs past, laughing, her face bright with joy. An old man kneels in prayer, his lips moving in silent supplication. For a while, you simply sit and watch, letting the scene wash over you. The worries of the world above fade away, replaced by a sense of peace and belonging. You are a guest in this sacred place, welcomed by the spirits who call it home. Their stories unfold around you, woven into the fabric of the hall. The story of a city that rose and fell, of lives lived and lost, of hope that endures even in the darkest of times. As you rise to leave, the spectral lights gather around you, their glow brighter and warmer than before. They swirl in a gentle spiral, guiding you toward the far end of the hall. You follow, your heart light and your steps sure. At the threshold, you turn and look back, committing the scene to memory. The ghosts watch you go, their faces filled with gratitude and hope. You are their witness, their storyteller, and their friend. You step out into the corridor, the door closing softly behind you. The silence of the hall lingers, a gentle presence at your back. You carry with you the light of the spectral lamps, a reminder that even in the deepest darkness, there is beauty to be found, and that the stories of Old Mournhold will endure as long as there are those who remember. You move quietly, your footsteps muffled by dust and the soft, worn stones beneath your feet. The silence is profound, yet not empty. It is filled with the quiet presence of those who came before, their stories woven into the very fabric of the city. You sense them in the gentle stirring of air, the faintest brush of her presence at your shoulder, the way the shadows seem to shift and settle as you pass. The passage opens into a vast, vaulted chamber, the old amphitheater, once the heart of Mournhold's celebrations and gatherings. Here, the ceiling arches high above, supported by pillars carved with scenes of revelry and worship. The stone benches, arranged in graceful tiers, are cracked and worn, their surfaces smoothed by generations of hands in the slow caress of time. In the center of the floor, a mosaic sun radiates outward, its golden tiles catching what little light remains and scattering it in 1,000 directions. You pause at the threshold, letting your eyes adjust to the dimness. The ghosts are here, too, drawn by the memory of music and laughter. Their forms shimmer in the gloam, insubstantial yet unmistakable, dancers in flowing robes, musicians with lutes and drums, children chasing one another in endless circles. Their movements are graceful, almost dreamlike, as if they are caught in a moment of joy that never quite fades. You step forward, and the air seems to hum with anticipation. A spectral musician lifts his lute, his fingers moving deftly over strings that no longer exist. The notes are soft at first, barely more than a whisper, but they grow in strength and clarity, filling the chamber with a melody that is both haunting and beautiful. One by one, the other ghosts join in, drummers tapping out a gentle rhythm, singers raising their voices in a wordless hymn that echoes from pillar to pillar. You find a seat on one of the stone benches, letting the music wash over you. It is a song of remembrance, of hope and longing, of a city that endures in memory even as its stones crumble. The ghosts dance in the center of the floor, their movements weaving patterns of light and shadow. For a moment, you are part of their world, carried on the tide of their music and the warmth of their presence. As the song fades, the ghosts gather around you, their faces filled with gratitude and curiosity. One, a young woman with hair like spun silver, kneels beside you and offers a delicate flower, its petals glowing with a soft, inner light. You accept it, feeling its warmth seep into your skin, a token of friendship and welcome. The ghosts smile, their forms growing brighter, and you sense that you have been accepted into their circle, a living thread in the tapestry of their story. You rise and move to the center of the amphitheater, standing on the mosaic sun. The ghosts gather in a circle around you, their voices rising in a gentle chant. The words are unfamiliar, but the meaning is clear, a blessing for the living, a promise that the past endures as long as it is remembered. The air shimmers with their presence, and for a moment, you feel the boundaries between worlds grow thin. When the chant ends, the ghosts drift away, their forms dissolving into the shadows. The amphitheater grows quiet once more, the only sound the distant drip of water and the soft echo of music lingering in the air. You stand alone in the center of the chamber, the flower still warm in your hand, and feel a deep sense of peace settle over you. You leave the amphitheater and follow a winding passage that leads deeper into the city. The walls here are lined with niches, each one holding a small statue or offering, tokens left by those who once sought the favor of the gods. Some are simple, a carved stone, a handful of dried flowers, while others are more elaborate, their surfaces inlaid with gold and precious stones. You pause to study them, feeling the weight of devotion and hope that each one represents. As you move on, the passage narrows again, the air growing colder and the shadows deeper. You sense the presence of the restless dead, those whose stories ended in sorrow or regret. Their presence is a chill in the air, a whisper at the edge of hearing. You walk softly, offering silent prayers for their peace, and the shadows recede, their anger soothed by your kindness. At last, you reach a small chamber, its walls covered in faded murals. The scenes depict the city's history, its founding, its triumphs, its fall. You trace the lines of the paintings with your fingers, feeling the stories come alive beneath your touch. The ghosts gather around you once more, their forms gentle and watchful. Together, you remember, and in remembering, you keep the city's spirit alive. You sit in the quiet, the flowers still glowing in your hand, and let the memories wash over you. The city is a living thing, its heart beating in time with your own. The ghosts are its soul, their stories the breath that keeps it alive. As long as you remember, Old Mournhold will endure, a place of beauty and sorrow, of hope and remembrance, a city of ghosts and dreams. You pass beneath a series of arches, each one carved with the likeness of Almalexia. Her serene face, eyes half closed in contemplation, gazes down upon you. The stone is worn smooth by centuries of reverence, yet her features remain unmistakable. The gentle curve of her lips, the calm strength in her brow, the suggestion of a smile that promises solace. The flickering lichen light catches in the hollows of her eyes, making them seem to glow with a life all their own. In this place, the air is thick with the scent of myrrh and lavender, the same incense that once burned in the great temples above. The fragrance lingers, woven into the very fabric of the city, a reminder of prayers whispered in the darkness and hopes kindled in the hearts of the faithful. You pause, breathing deeply, and feel a sense of calm settle over you, a peace that seeps into your bones and quiets the restless thoughts of the waking world. The ghosts of Old Mournhold gather here, drawn by the warmth of Almalexia's memory. Their forms are softer, less distinct, as if the goddess's presence soothes the sharp edges of their sorrow. You see them drifting through the halls, a mother cradling an infant in her arms, her face lit with quiet joy, an old man kneeling in prayer, his lips moving in silent supplication, a child chasing a ball of light, her laughter echoing gently in the stillness. Each spirit is touched by the same golden glow, their burdens eased by the goddess's gentle hand. You move quietly through the hall, your footsteps muffled by the thick dust that carpets the floor. The walls are adorned with faded murals, their colors softened by time. Scenes of devotion and celebration unfold before you. Processions of priests bearing offerings, choirs of children singing hymns, the faithful gathered in the temple's embrace. In every image, Almalexia stands at the center, her arms outstretched in blessing, her gaze filled with infinite compassion. At the far end of the hall, a great statue of the goddess rises from the shadows. Carved from pale marble, she stands with her hands open, palms upturned, as if offering comfort to all who seek it. The base of the statue is ringed with offerings, withered flowers, broken candles, small tokens of love and gratitude left by those who once found solace here. You kneel before the statue, bowing your head in quiet reverence. The air grows warmer still, and for a moment, you feel as if you are wrapped in a gentle embrace, safe and cherished. The ghosts gather around you, their forms shimmering in the golden light. They do not speak, but their presence is a comfort, a reminder that you are not alone. You sense their gratitude, their longing for peace, their hope that the city's memory will endure. In this sacred place, the boundaries between past and present blur, and you are part of something greater than yourself, a living thread woven into the tapestry of Old Mournhold's story. As you rise, you notice a soft glow at the edge of your vision. Turning, you see Sarifi, the priestess, her form more radiant than before. She smiles, her eyes shining with kindness. She gestures for you to follow, and together you move through a side door into a smaller chamber. Here, the air is filled with the sound of gentle singing, voices rising and falling in a lullaby that soothes the soul. The walls are lined with niches, each one holding a small lamp that burns with a steady, golden flame. Sarifi leads you to the center of the room, where a low altar stands. She kneels, her hands folded in prayer, and you join her, feeling the warmth of the lamps on your face. The singing grows softer, fading into silence. In the quiet, you feel the presence of Almalexia, gentle, watchful, and endlessly patient. She is not a distant deity, but a mother to her people, her love woven into every stone, every memory, every lingering spirit. You sit in silence, letting the peace of the chamber wash over you. The ghosts gather close, their forms bathed in the golden light. Some weep softly, their tears a release of long-held sorrow. Others smile, their faces bright with hope. All are united in the presence of the goddess, their burdens eased, their hearts comforted. When you rise to leave, Sarifi places a hand on your shoulder, her touch warm and reassuring. She gives you a small token, a pendant shaped like a flame, carved from amber and strung on a simple cord. You slip it over your head, feeling its weight settle against your heart. It is a reminder of the goddess's blessing, a promise that you are never truly alone. You step back into the main hall, the golden light lingering at your back. The city feels different now, softer, kinder, filled with the gentle presence of Almalexia and the love she bestowed upon her people. The ghosts drift through the halls, their forms brighter, their burdens lighter. You walk among them, a living witness to their story, your heart filled with gratitude and wonder. As you leave the sacred halls, the scent of myrrh and lavender follows you, a gentle reminder of the peace you have found. The corridors ahead are darker, the air cooler, but you carry the warmth of the goddess with you, a light to guide you through the shadows, a comfort in the quiet darkness of Old Mournhold. Beyond the warmth of Almalexia's sacred chamber, the corridors of Old Mournhold wind once more into quiet shadow. You walk with a new sense of calm, the gentle weight of the amber pendant against her chest a reminder of the goddess's blessing. The air is cooler here, tinged with the faintest trace of incense and the subtle, ever-present scent of stone and time. Your footsteps echo softly, mingling with the hush that fills these ancient halls. Soon, you find yourself before a tall, arched doorway, its frame carved with patterns of intertwined flames and falling stars. This is the entrance to the Hall of Lamps, a place where memory and hope once mingled in the glow of 1,000 lanterns. You pause, feeling the anticipation in the air, as if the city itself is holding its breath, waiting for you to step inside. The doors yield to your touch, swinging open with a sigh that stirs a faint swirl of dust. The hall beyond is vast and silent, its ceiling lost in darkness far above. Once, lanterns of every shape and size hung from delicate chains, their flames casting golden halos across the polished marble floor. Now, the lanterns are gone, their glass shattered and their metalwork rusted, but in their place float spectral lights, soft orbs of blue and silver that drift gently through the air, illuminating the hall with a quiet, otherworldly radiance. You step inside, and the world changes. The spectral lights gather in slow, swirling patterns, their glow painting shifting constellations across the floor and walls. They cluster above faded mosaics, their gentle illumination bringing new life to ancient scenes. Priests bearing offerings, children dancing beneath banners of gold and crimson, the city's founders standing hand in hand beneath the rising sun. The lights move as if in time with some silent music, their dance both joyful and mournful, a celebration of all that was and all that might yet be. You walk slowly, your footsteps muffled by the thick layer of dust that carpets the floor. The air is cool and fragrant, carrying the faintest hint of beeswax and sweet oil, as if the memory of 1,000 lanterns still lingers here. The spectral lights drift closer, drawn by your presence. One brushes past her cheek, leaving a tingling warmth in its wake. Another hovers before you, pulsing gently as if in greeting. You reach out, and for a moment, your fingers pass through the light. It feels like cool water, with a touch of a gentle breeze. As you move deeper into the hall, you notice that the lights are not alone. Shadows flicker at the edges of the room, coalescing into the faint outlines of figures. Some are tall and regal, their forms draped in the robes of priests and priestesses. Others are smaller, the shapes of children chasing one another through the air. They move with purpose, tending to invisible tasks, lighting lanterns, sweeping the floor, arranging offerings on the long-forgotten altars. Their faces are indistinct, blurred by the passage of time, but their presence is unmistakable. You pause before a great mural that covers one wall of the hall. It depicts the city at its height, a place of beauty and light, where the gods walked among mortals and the air was filled with song. The mural is faded and cracked, but the artistry is still clear. The careful brushstrokes, the vibrant colors, the sense of hope and possibility that radiates from every figure. The spectral lights gather before the mural, their glow illuminating the details and casting the scene in a gentle, dreamlike haze. A sense of longing fills you, a longing for a world that is gone, but not forgotten. The ghosts of Old Mournhold linger here not out of regret, but out of love. They're the keepers of memory, the guardians of a city that endures in the hearts of those who remember. Their presence is a comfort, a reminder that the past is never truly lost as long as someone cares to remember. You sit on a low bench at the edge of the hall, watching the lights drift and dance. Time seems to slow, the silence deepening until it becomes a kind of music, a lullaby for the soul. The ghosts move around you, their forms growing clearer as you relax and let yourself sink into the rhythm of the place. You see a priestess lighting a lantern, her hands steady and sure. A child runs past, laughing, her face bright with joy. An old man kneels in prayer, his lips moving in silent supplication. For a while, you simply sit and watch, letting the scene wash over you. The worries of the world above fade away, replaced by a sense of peace and belonging. You are a guest in this sacred place, welcomed by the spirits who call it home. Their stories unfold around you, woven into the fabric of the hall, the story of a city that rose and fell, of lives lived and lost, of hope that endures even in the darkest of times. As you rise to leave, the spectral lights gather around you, their glow brighter and warmer than before. They swirl in a gentle spiral, guiding you toward the far end of the hall. You follow, your heart light and your steps sure. At the threshold, you turn and look back, committing the scene to memory. The ghosts watch you go, their faces filled with gratitude and hope. You are their witness, their storyteller, and their friend. You step out into the corridor, the door closing softly behind you. The silence of the hall lingers, a gentle presence at your back. You carry with you the light of the spectral lamps, a reminder that even in the deepest darkness, there is beauty to be found, and that the stories of Old Mournhold will endure as long as there are those who remember. You descend a winding stair, each step echoing into the depths. The walls here are rougher, less adorned, bearing the scars of ancient violence and hurried repair. You notice deep gouges in the stone, as if some great force once tore through these passages. In places, the rock is blackened, the memory of fire still etched into its surface. It is here, in these shadowed halls, that the story of Mournhold's greatest tragedy is written, not in words, but in the very bones of the city. At the foot of the stairs, you find yourself in a wide, low-ceilinged chamber. The air is thick and still, heavy with the scent of old ash and the faintest trace of something metallic. Blood, perhaps, or the memory of it. Broken pillars lie scattered across the floor, their capitals carved with the sigils of houses long vanished. Here and there, you see the remnants of banners, their colors faded to gray, their emblems barely discernible. This was once a place of council and command, where the fate of the city was debated and decided. The ghosts here are different. They are not the gentle, luminous spirits of the upper halls, but shadows that cling to the edges of the room, their forms flickering and uncertain. You sense their unrest, their longing for resolution. Some pace the floor in endless circles, their faces etched with worry and regret. Others stand in silent groups, their heads bowed, as if still awaiting orders that will never come. The air is thick with the weight of unspoken words and unfinished business. You move quietly, careful not to disturb the fragile peace of this place. As you pass, one of the ghosts lifts his head. He is tall and thin, his features sharp and proud. His eyes, though clouded by the haze of memory, meet yours with a clarity that startles you. He does not speak, but you feel his presence, a mixture of sorrow and hope, pride and regret. He gestures toward a broken pillar, and you understand. This was the seat of his house, his place of honor and responsibility. You sit beside him, and for a moment, the room grows quieter still. The other ghosts gather closer, their forms coalescing from the shadows. You feel the weight of their gaze, their silent plea for remembrance. They are the forgotten leaders of Mournhold, those who stood firm in the city's final hours, who made impossible choices and bore the consequences in silence. Their stories are written in the cracks of the stone, in the faded banners and broken pillars. As you listen, images rise in your mind, not visions, but impressions, carried on the air like distant music. You see the council chamber filled with voices, the air thick with tension. You hear the clash of argument, the desperate search for hope as the fires of destruction drew ever closer. You sense the weight of duty, the agony of sacrifice. You feel the moment when hope gave way to resignation, when the leaders of Mournhold understood that the city could not be saved, but that its memory might endure. The ghosts do not ask for forgiveness. They do not seek absolution. They wish only to be remembered, to have their choices understood, their burdens acknowledged. You offer them a silent promise: their stories will not be lost. As long as you walk these halls, as long as you carry their memory, the city endures. A gentle wind stirs, carrying the scent of ash and old incense. The ghosts begin to fade, their forms dissolving into the shadows. The tall ghost lingers a moment longer, his eyes meeting yours once more. He nods, a gesture of gratitude and farewell, before turning and walking into the darkness. You rise and continue on, your heart heavy with the weight of what you have witnessed, but also lighter for having shared it. The corridor ahead is narrow and twisting, the walls closing in around you. Yet you walk with confidence, guided by the knowledge that you are not alone, that the ghosts of Old Mournhold walk with you, their stories woven into the very fabric of the city. As you move deeper into the labyrinth, you hear the faintest echo of music, a single, mournful note that lingers in the air, a reminder that even in the darkest corners, hope endures. You follow the sound, your step sure and steady, ready to uncover the next chapter in the story of Old Mournhold. You follow the sound of water, winding through narrow passages where the lichen glows faintly, casting a ghostly blue light on the uneven stones. The corridor opens suddenly into a vast, vaulted chamber, the old amphitheater, where once the people of Mournhold gathered to witness plays, debates, and the great festivals that marked the turning of the seasons. Now, the seats are empty, worn smooth by time, and the stage is silent, shrouded in shadow. Yet the space is not abandoned. As you step forward, you feel the presence of the city's spirits gathering, drawn by the memory of music and laughter. The ghosts drift among the stone benches, their forms flickering like candle flames in a gentle breeze. Some are dressed in the fine robes of nobles, their faces bright with the memory of joy. Others wear the plain tunics of artisans and laborers, their hands still moving in the gestures of applause or dance. Children dart between the rows, their laughter echoing softly, while elders sit quietly, their eyes fixed on the empty stage as if waiting for the next act to begin. The air hums with anticipation, and you sense that, in this place, the boundaries between past and present are thin indeed. You find a seat near the front, settling into the cool embrace of the stone. The ghosts pay you little mind, their attention focused on the stage, where a faint light begins to glow. Slowly, figures emerge from the darkness, actors in shimmering costumes, their faces painted in the stylized masks of Mournhold's ancient theater. They move with grace and purpose, their voices rising in a song that is both familiar and strange. The melody weaves through the chamber, carrying with it the story of the city, its founding, its triumphs, its sorrows, and its enduring hope. As you listen, the ghosts around you join in, their voices blending with those of the actors in a chorus that fills the air with longing and remembrance. The song tells of heroes and lovers, of battles fought and lost, of dreams that withered and bloomed anew. It is a lullaby for the city, a promise that its story will not be forgotten as long as there are those who remember. When the final note fades, the ghosts rise from their seats, bowing to the actors and to one another. Some linger, exchanging quiet words or embracing in silent farewell, while others drift away, their forms dissolving into the shadows. You remain for a moment, savoring the peace that fills the chamber, the sense of belonging that comes from sharing in the city's memory. Rising, you make your way to the stage, where the last of the actors waits. She is tall and slender, her mask painted with the serene features of Almalexia. As you approach, she removes the mask, revealing the gentle face of Serifi, the priestess who has guided you through so much of this journey. She smiles, her eyes shining with kindness and pride. "You have seen much," she says, her voice as soft as the falling rain. "But there is still more to learn, more to remember." The city's heart beats on, even in darkness. "Will you continue?" You nod, and she takes your hand, leading you through a hidden door at the back of the stage. The passage beyond is narrow and steep, lit only by the faint glow of your pendant and the memory of the music that still lingers in your heart. You descend in silence, feeling the weight of the city above you, the presence of its ghosts all around. At the bottom of the stairs, the passage opens into a wide, circular chamber. In the center stands a well, its waters clear and still, reflecting the faint light from above. The ghosts gather here, their forms shimmering in the darkness. Some kneel to drink, their faces peaceful and content. Others simply stand, gazing into the depths as if searching for answers to questions long forgotten. You approach the well and peer into its depths. The water is impossibly clear, revealing the stones at the bottom, each one carved with a name, a memory, a fragment of the city's story. You reach down and cup your hands, lifting the cool water to your lips. As you drink, a wave of memory washes over you. The laughter of children, the warmth of sunlight on stone, the gentle touch of a friend's hand. For a moment, you are everywhere and everywhere, a part of the city's endless story. When you open your eyes, the ghosts are gone, their presence lingering only in the gentle ripple of the water and the soft glow of the stones. You rise, feeling renewed, your heart filled with the strength of all those who came before. The city is quiet now, but not empty. Its story endures, carried in your memory, waiting to be told. You leave the chamber, your steps light and sure. The path ahead is uncertain, but you are no longer afraid. The ghosts of Old Mournhold walk with you, their stories woven into your own. And as you move forward, you know that the city will never truly be lost, as long as someone remembers, as long as someone cares. The memory of the amphitheater's echoes and the well's luminous waters linger with you as you move onward, following a corridor that slopes gently upward. The air grows lighter, touched by a faint current that carries with it the scent of ancient parchment and candle wax. You sense, even before you see, that you are approaching a place of learning, a sanctuary of knowledge preserved in shadow and silence. You pass beneath a low archway, its keystone marked with the sigil of a quill and scroll. Beyond lies the Library of Twilight, a vast chamber lined with shelves that stretch from floor to ceiling, their wood darkened by age and the slow seep of time. Here, the ghosts of scholars and scribes drift among the stacks, their translucent forms flickering in the dim light. Some pore over crumbling tomes, their fingers tracing faded ink. Others stand in quiet conversation, their voices little more than the rustle of pages and a gentle breeze. The silence here is profound, yet it hums with the energy of thought and memory. You move slowly, your footsteps muffled by thick carpets woven with intricate patterns, constellations, perhaps, or the winding paths of fate. The air is cool and dry, tinged with the scent of vellum and the faintest trace of lavender, a relic of the days when the library's keepers would burn sprigs to ward off moths and mold. You pause before a great table at the center of the room, its surface littered with scrolls and open books. A ghostly scholar sits there, his form hunched in concentration, a quill hovering in his hand. As you approach, he looks up, his eyes bright with curiosity and the joy of discovery. He gestures for you to sit, and you do, feeling the weight of centuries settle around you like a cloak. He speaks, his voice soft and melodic, telling you of the library's history. It was once the pride of Mournhold, a place where the wisdom of generations was gathered and preserved. Here, poets and philosophers debated beneath the watchful eyes of the tribunal, and scribes labored to record the city's triumphs and tragedies. When the fires came, many risked their lives to save what they could, carrying precious manuscripts through smoke and flame to these hidden depths. The scholar shows you a book, a collection of poems written in the old tongue, their verses filled with longing and hope. He recites a few lines, his voice weaving the words into the silence. The ghosts around you pause to listen, their faces softening with remembrance. For a moment, the library is filled with the gentle music of poetry, a balm for the wounds of the past. You rise and wander the stacks, running your fingers along the spines of books that have not been touched in centuries. Some are bound in leather, their covers stamped with gold. Others are simple scrolls, their parchment yellowed and brittle. You sense the presence of the library's keepers, their spirits watchful and proud. They nod as you pass, grateful that someone still cares for the knowledge they devoted their lives to preserving. In a quiet corner, you find a group of children gathered around a ghostly storyteller. She sits in a high-backed chair, her hair piled in an elaborate knot, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Her voice rises and falls as she spins tales of heroes and monsters, of clever foxes and wise old crabs. The children listen with rapt attention, their laughter ringing like silver bells. You smile, remembering your own childhood, the comfort of stories told in the dark. You linger in the library, savoring the peace that fills the air. The ghosts here are content, their work unfinished but unhurried. They are the guardians of memory, the keepers of wisdom, the gentle voices that remind you that even in darkness, knowledge endures. When at last you leave, the scholar at the table presses a small book into your hands. Its cover is embossed with the symbol of a rising sun, its pages filled with blank lines. For your own story, he says, his voice fading like the last note of a lullaby. You slip the book into your pocket, feeling its weight, a promise, and a responsibility. You step back into the corridor, the door closing softly behind you. The silence of the library lingers, a gentle presence at your back. You carry with you the stories of Old Mournhold, the wisdom of its scholars, and the laughter of its children. And as you move forward, you know that the city's memory will endure, as long as there are those who remember and those who care to write it down. The corridor from the Library of Twilight winds downward, the air growing cooler and the stone underfoot slick with the memory of ancient raids. You walk in silence, the small book pressed to your chest, its blank pages whispering of stories yet to be written. The hush here is profound, broken only by the soft drip of water echoing from somewhere ahead, a gentle, persistent rhythm that seems to call you onward. The passage opens at last into a wide, circular chamber. The ceiling arches high overhead, lost in shadow, and the walls are lined with alcoves where faded mosaics depict scenes of celebration and sorrow. In the center of the chamber lies a great well, its stone rim worn smooth by countless hands, its waters still and dark as midnight. A faint, silvery glow rises from its depths, casting rippling patterns on the walls and ceiling, as if the chamber itself is gently breathing. You approach the well, drawn by the quiet radiance that seems to pulse with a life of its own. The air here is cooler, tinged with the scent of damp earth and something older, an aroma that calls to mind the first rains of spring, the promise of renewal after long darkness. The silence is not empty, but full of presence, the memory of voices, the echo of laughter, the gentle hum of prayers whispered to the stones. You kneel at the well's edge, peering into its depths. The water is impossibly clear. Beneath the surface, you see stones carved with names and symbols, each one a memory, a wish, a fragment of a life once lived. Some are simple, their markings faded by time. Others are intricate, their designs gleaming with the soft light that suffuses the chamber. As you gaze, the surface of the water shimmers, and you catch glimpses of faces, smiling, weeping, serene. each one flickering into view and then vanishing like a dream upon waking. You reach out, cupping your hands, and draw water from the well. It is cool and weightless, slipping through your fingers like silk. You drink, and the taste is both familiar and strange, sweet as memory, sharp as loss, soothing as a lullaby sung in the dark. As the water fills you, you feel a gentle warmth spread through your chest, and the chamber around you seems to brighten, the mosaics on the walls coming alive with color and movement. The ghosts of Old Mournhold gather, drawn by the well's light. They appear first as flickers at the edge of vision, then as shimmering forms that drift across the chamber, some alone, others in small groups, their faces alight with curiosity and peace. They move without sound, their feet barely touching the ground, their robes trailing behind them like mist. Some kneel at the well, their hands folded in prayer. Others simply gaze into its depths, their eyes reflecting the silvery glow. You sense their stories, woven into the very air. A mother singing to her child, her voice soft and steady. A young man laughing with friends, his joy echoing through the years. An old woman lighting a candle, her hands trembling with reverence. Each memory is a thread in the tapestry of the city, each life a note in the song of Mournhold. The ghosts do not speak, but their presence is a comfort, a reminder that you are never truly alone. Across the chamber, you see Sarifi, the priestess, her form more radiant than ever. She stands beside the well, her hands cupped around a small flame that burns with a gentle, golden light. She smiles at you, her eyes warm and kind, and beckons you to join her. As you approach, she holds out the flame, and you see that it is not fire, but a memory, a vision of the city as it once was, filled with sunlight and laughter, its streets alive with music and hope. Sarifi places the memory in your hands, and it settles in your palm like a living thing. You close your eyes, and the vision unfolds. You are standing in the plaza at dawn, the sky painted with the first blush of morning. The bells of the tipple ring out, their song mingling with the voices of merchants and children. The air is filled with the scent of bread and flowers, and everywhere you look, there is life, vivid, joyful, unbroken. When you open your eyes, the memory lingers, its warmth settling in your heart. Sarifi nods, her face serene. The well remembers all, she whispers, her voice is soft as the drifting mist. Every joy, every sorrow, every hope. Drink and remember. Drink and be at peace. You kneel beside the well once more, cupping your hands to draw water. This time, as you drink, you feel the presence of the city spirits more keenly. Their love, their longing, their quiet acceptance. The water fills you with a sense of belonging, a certainty that you are part of something vast and enduring. The ghosts gather closer, their forms shimmering with gratitude and welcome. One by one, they kneel at the well, each drawing water and sharing in the memory it holds. Some weep, their tears falling silently into the depths. Others smile, their faces alight with hope. The chamber is filled with a gentle glow, the light of 1,000 memories mingling and rising, illuminating the mosaics on the walls. Scenes of the city's history play out in shifting patterns. A wedding procession winding through sunlit streets, a festival of lanterns lighting the night, a quiet vigil held in the temple's shadow. You sit with the ghosts, sharing in their stories. They show you moments of kindness, a loaf of bread shared with a stranger, a song sung to comfort the weary, a hand extended in forgiveness. They reveal moments of courage, a soldier standing firm against the darkness, a healer tending the wounded, a child facing fear with quiet strength. Each memory is a gift, a lesson, a reminder that even in the face of loss, there is beauty to be found. As the night deepens, the chamber grows quieter. The ghosts drift away, their forms dissolving into the shadows, their presence lingering in the gentle ripple of the water and the soft glow of the stones. You remain at the well, your heart full of gratitude and wonder. The city story is yours now, woven into the fabric of your being, a light to guide you through the darkness. Before you leave, Sarifi returns, her eyes shining with pride. She offers you a small vial, its glass filled with the silvery water of the well. "Carry this with you," she says, her voice gentle. "When you are lost, let it remind you of who you are and where you belong." You accept the gift, tucking it safely into your pouch. As you rise, the chamber seems to sigh, the air growing lighter, the shadows receding. You step back into the corridor, the silence of the well lingering at your back, a gentle presence, a promise that the city endures. You walk onward, your steps sure and steady. The path ahead is uncertain, but you are no longer afraid. The ghosts of Old Mournhold walk with you, their stories woven into your own. And as you move forward, you know that the city will never truly be lost, as long as someone remembers, as long as someone cares. The gentle radiance of the well's chamber fades as you step back into the winding corridors of Old Mournhold, the vial of memory carrying water cool against your chest. The air grows heavier, the stone underfoot colder and rougher. Here, the silence is different, not the peaceful hush of remembrance, but a tension that prickles at the edge of your senses. The shadows seem deeper, and the faint, comforting presence of the city's grateful spirits gives way to something more troubled, an undercurrent of unrest that stirs the dust and chills the air. You follow the corridor as it twists and narrows, the walls closing in, the lichen's glow receding to a thin, sickly thread. Every so often, you glimpse movement at the edge of your vision, a flicker of pale light, a fleeting shadow that vanishes when you turn to look. The air is thick with the scent of old smoke and something sharper, like the tang of iron left too long in the rain. You sense that you are approaching the city's edge, where memory is no longer gentle, but raw and unresolved. Here, the ghosts are different. They do not drift with the easy grace of the grateful dead, nor do they gather in peaceful communion. Instead, they haunt the margins, their forms twisted by anger, regret, and longing. Some pace the corridors with restless energy, their faces contorted in silent screams. Others crouch in corners, clutching at invisible wounds, their eyes wide and unseeing. The air hums with their pain, a warning to the living, a plea for understanding, a reminder that not all stories end in peace. You pause at the entrance to a small, ruined chamber. The door hangs crooked on its hinges, and the walls are blackened by fire. Within, a ghost sits hunched in the shadows, her form flickering with every breath. She looks up as you enter, her eyes burning with a sorrow so deep it seems to pull the very light from the air. You kneel beside her, offering the only gift you have, your attention, your willingness to listen. Her story unfolds in broken images and half-remembered words. She was once a healer, tending the wounded in the city's darkest days. When the fires came, she tried to save those trapped in the flames, but the smoke was too thick, the heat too fierce. She remembers the screams, the desperate hands reaching for her, the moment when she realized she could save no one, not even herself. Her regret is a wound that will not heal, a burden she cannot lay down. You reach out, offering comfort, but your hand passes through her like mist. Still, she seems to sense your compassion, and her form grows steadier, her eyes less wild. She whispers a blessing, her voice barely more than a breath, and then she is gone, dissolving into the shadows, her pain eased, if only for a moment, by the simple act of being remembered. You move on, the weight of her story heavy on your heart. The corridor opens into a wide, low-ceilinged hall, its floor littered with debris and the remnants of shattered lives. Here, the restless dead gather in greater numbers, their voices rising in a chorus of anger and grief. Some rail against the injustices they suffered in life. Others mourn the loved ones they lost, their sorrow echoing off the stone. A few lash out at the living, their pain so great it blinds them to all else. You stand in the center of the hall, letting their voices wash over you. At first, the noise is overwhelming, a cacophony of accusation and lament. But as you listen, you begin to hear the individual stories beneath the din. A soldier betrayed by his commander, a child orphaned by war, a mother searching for the child she could not save. Each voice is a thread in the tapestry of the city's history, each story a lesson in the cost of anger, regret, and loss. You offer what comfort you can, a silent prayer, a word of understanding, a promise to remember. Slowly, the noise subsides, the ghosts drawing back into the shadows. Some linger, their forms less ragged, their eyes less haunted. Others fade away, their burdens lightened by the knowledge that someone has heard their story, that their pain is not forgotten. As you leave the hall, you feel a change in the air. The tension that gripped the corridors begins to ease, replaced by a sense of quiet resolution. The restless dead are not at peace, but they are no longer alone. Their stories have been heard, their pain acknowledged. In time, perhaps, they too will find the solace that fills the city's heart. You climb a narrow stair, the air growing warmer as you rise. At the top, you find yourself in a small chamber, its walls lined with niches holding offerings of stone and bone. Here, the spirits are quieter, their presence a gentle hum in the background. You kneel before one of the niches, placing your hand on a smooth stone carved with the image of a flame. You close your eyes, offering a prayer for the restless dead, a wish that they may find peace, that their stories may be woven into the city's memory, that their pain may become wisdom for those who come after. As you rise, you feel the weight of the city's sorrow and hope settle around you. The ghosts of Old Mournhold are not all gentle, nor are all their stories easy to hear. But each one is a part of the city's soul, a reminder that memory is not just comfort, but responsibility. To remember is to honor, to learn, to grow. You step back into the corridor, the air lighter, the shadows less oppressive. The path ahead is uncertain, but you walk with new resolve. The ghosts of Old Mournhold walk with you, their stories now a part of your own. And as you move forward, you know that the city endures, not in spite of its pain, but because of it. For in remembering both joy and sorrow, the city spirit is kept alive, and the promise of peace is never truly lost. A gentle wind stirs through the ancient corridors of Old Mournhold, carrying with it the scents and secrets of centuries. It moves almost imperceptibly at first, a faint breath that stirs the dust in forgotten corners, lifts the edges of faded banners, and whispers through the cracks in the stone. This wind is not of the mundane world alone, but something older, woven from the memories of the city and the lingering presence of those who once called it home. You feel it brush against your cheek as you step from the chamber of restless spirits, its touch cool and strangely comforting. The air is tinged with salt and ash, a reminder of the fires that once swept through these halls and the tears that followed. Yet there is also a freshness to it, a promise of renewal that hints at the city's enduring spirit. The wind carries the faintest echoes of laughter and song, the distant clang of temple bells, and the soft murmur of prayers offered in the darkness. As you follow the current, you notice how it moves through the city's empty streets, lifting the dust from forgotten altars and stirring the tattered banners that once proclaimed the glory of Mournhold. The banners themselves are faded now, their colors muted by time, but the symbols remain: the rising sun of Almalexia, the twin moons of Vivek, the intricate gears of Sothasil. Each banner tells a story, a fragment of the city's past preserved in cloth and thread. You pause before one such banner, its fabric fluttering gently in the breeze. The sigil of Almalexia is still visible, a stylized flame cradled by gentle hands, a symbol of hope and protection. As the wind moves, the banner seems to come alive, its movement casting shifting patterns of light and shadow on the wall behind it. You watch as the patterns dance, weaving together images of celebration and sorrow, of triumph and loss. For a moment, you are transported back to a time when the city was filled with life, its streets crowded with pilgrims and merchants, its temples ringing with song. The wind moves on, drawing you deeper into the heart of the city. You follow its path, passing through archways carved with ancient runes and along corridors lined with statues of saints and heroes. The statues are worn and weathered, their features softened by centuries of wind and rain, but their presence is still powerful. Some stand in silent vigil, their eyes fixed on the horizon. Others bow their heads in contemplation, their hands folded in prayer. Each one is a guardian of memory, a silent witness to the passage of time. As you walk, the wind grows stronger, its song rising in pitch and intensity. It whistles through broken windows and howls down empty stairwells, filling the city with a restless energy. Yet there is nothing menacing in its voice, only a deep, abiding sadness and a longing for connection. The ghosts of Old Mournhold are drawn to the wind, their forms flickering in its wake. Some drift along the streets, their robes billowing like sails. Others gather in small groups, their faces turned toward the source of the breeze. You come to a wide plaza, open to the sky. Here, the wind is at its strongest, swirling around the stone fountain at the center of the square. The fountain is dry now, its basin cracked and empty, but the wind fills it with movement and sound. Leaves and petals caught by the breeze spin in lazy circles, rising and falling in a dance that seems to echo the rhythms of the city's past. The ghosts gather around the fountain, their forms shimmering in the shifting light. Some reach out to touch the wind, their hands passing through it like water. Others simply stand and listen, their faces serene. You sit at the edge of the fountain, letting the wind wash over you. It carries with it the stories of the city, the joys and sorrows, the hopes and regrets, the dreams and disappointments of generations. You close your eyes and let the memories flow through you, feeling yourself become a part of the city's endless song. The wind is a messenger, a bridge between worlds, carrying the voices of the dead to those who are willing to listen. As the sun sets, the wind grows softer, its psalm fading into a gentle sigh. The ghosts begin to drift away, their forms dissolving into the twilight. You remain at the fountain, the last light of day casting long shadows across the plaza. The air is cool and still, filled with the promise of rest. Before you leave, you take a small stone from the edge of the fountain, a token of your time in this place, a reminder of the stories carried on the wind. You tuck it into your pouch, feeling its weight against your heart. As you rise and make your way back to the city, the wind follows you, a gentle presence at your back, guiding you onward. The path ahead is uncertain, but you walk with a new sense of purpose. The ghosts of Old Mournhold walk with you, their stories now a part of your own. And as you move forward, you know that the city endures, not just in stone and memory, but in the wind that moves through its streets, carrying the promise of renewal and the hope that nothing is ever truly forgotten. The gentle wind that guided you through the plaza fades as you descend once more, following a stair carved into the living rock. The air grows colder, the silence deeper, and the weight of the city's memory presses in from all sides. Here, in the deepest crypt of Old Mournhold, the world above feels impossibly distant, a place of sunlight and laughter that exists only in the dreams of the living. The stones are slick with the breath of centuries, their surfaces etched with the names of those who came before, priests and kings, poets and warriors, each a thread in the vast tapestry of the city's story. You pause at the base of the stairs, letting your eyes adjust to the gloom. The chamber before you is vast, its ceiling lost in shadow, its walls lined with alcoves where the honored dead rest in silence. At the center of the crypt, a ring of ancient seats, each carved from a single block of basalt, surrounds a low table inlaid with patterns of silver and lapis. This is the Council of Spirits, the gathering place of Mournhold's greatest minds, where the dead debate the meaning of their fate and seek solace in shared memory. As you step into the circle, the air shivers with anticipation. The ghosts appear slowly, their forms coalescing from the mist. A wise old woman draped in the robes of a priestess, her eyes bright with the light of understanding. A scholar with ink-stained fingers, clutching a scroll that unrolls endlessly in his lap. A warrior in battered armor, his gaze steady and unyielding. Others join them, advisors, artisans, dreamers, each bearing the marks of their life's work, each drawn here by the need to remember, to reflect, to find meaning in a long night. They greet you with silent nods, acknowledging your presence as both witness and guest. You take your place at the table, feeling the weight of their attention settle upon you. The council begins, not with words, but with memories, shared as images and sensations that flow through the air like the softest of breezes. You see the city as it was, the sun rising over marble towers, the streets alive with color and song, the temples filled with the scent of incense and the sound of prayer. The priestess speaks first, her voice a gentle murmur that echoes in the stillness. She recalls the days of peace, when wisdom and compassion guided the city's hand. She remembers the festivals of light, the processions that wound through the streets, the laughter of children chasing lanterns in the dusk. Her memories are tinged with sorrow, for she knows how quickly joy can vanish, how fragile the bonds of trust and hope can be. The scholar follows, his voice quick and eager, his mind racing with questions. He speaks of knowledge lost and found, of books burned and secrets preserved. He wonders at the nature of memory, how it endures, how it changes, how it shapes the living and the dead alike. He asks you what you have learned in your journey, what stories you will carry from this place, what wisdom you will share with the world above. The warrior is last to speak, his words few but powerful. He remembers the city's fall, the roar of fire and a clash of steel, the desperate courage of those who fought to protect what they loved. He does not regret his choices, but he mourns the friends he lost, the dreams that died with them. He asks only that their sacrifice be remembered, that their names be spoken with honor, that the lessons of their struggle not be forgotten. The council listens, each spirit adding their own memories to the circle. The air is thick with the weight of their stories, the beauty and pain of lives lived and lost. You feel their longing, not for vengeance or glory, but for understanding, for connection, for the assurance that their existence mattered, that their choices shaped the world in ways both great and small. You share your own memories in return, the gentle touch of Sarifi's hand, the laughter of ghosts in the amphitheater, the peace of the well's chamber, the sorrow of the restless dead. You speak of the wind that carries the city's dreams, the banners that still flutter in the darkness, the light that endures even in the deepest shadow. The spirits listen, their faces softening with gratitude and hope. For a time, there is only silence, a silence filled with meaning, with acceptance, with the quiet certainty that the city's story will continue as long as someone remembers. The council rises, each spirit bowing in turn, their forms growing fainter as they return to their rest. The priestess lingers a moment longer, her eyes shining with pride. She places a hand on your shoulder, her touch is light as a feather. "You are part of us now," she whispers, her voice barely more than a breath. "Carry our story with you. Let it be a light in the darkness, a guide for those who come after." You leave the council chamber, your heart full of gratitude and wonder. The path ahead is uncertain, but you walk with new resolve, the wisdom of the council a steady presence at your side. The ghosts of Old Mournhold walk with you, their stories woven into your own. And as you move forward, you know that the city endures, not just in stone and memory, but in the hearts of all who remember, all who care. Above the silent crypts and echoing halls of Old Mournhold, the world moves on. The city of the living rises in sunlight, its towers gleaming with new stone, its streets alive with the bustle of merchants, pilgrims, and children. New Mournhold is a place of hope and ambition, where the scars of the past have been paved over with marble and the laughter of the present. Yet, beneath every footstep, beneath every market stall and temple spire, the old city endures, hidden, patient, and eternal. You ascend from the council crypt, the air growing warmer and the echoes of the spirits fading into a gentle hum at your back. The passage spirals upward, carved from the same basalt that once formed the bones of Restain's greatest city. As you climb, you pass through layers of history, broken mosaics half buried in rubble, the faint outline of a mural glimpsed through cracks in the plaster, the ghostly scent of incense that lingers in the stone. Each step is a journey through memory, a reminder that the past is never truly lost. At last, you reach a small chamber where a shaft of daylight pierces the darkness. Through a narrow grate, you glimpse the world above, the feet of passers-by, the wheels of a merchant's cart, the flutter of a child's ribbon in the breeze. Their voices filter down in muffled bursts, snatches of conversation, bursts of laughter, the distant clang of a temple bell. You realize, with a start, that you are directly beneath one of New Mournhold's busiest squares. The city above is unaware of the world beneath its feet, the bones of its ancestor city cradling its every step. The ghosts of Old Mournhold gather in the shadows, drawn by the sounds of life above. Some watch in silence, their faces wistful, their eyes bright with longing. Others smile, their forms shimmering with pride at the resilience of their descendants. They do not envy the living, nor do they resent the world's forgetfulness. Instead, they keep watch, guardians of memory, silent witnesses to the city's endless cycle of loss and renewal. You move through narrow tunnels that run like veins beneath the city. In places, the ceiling is so low you must stoop. In others, the stone opens into wide vaults where the ghosts gather in silent vigil. Here, the spirits are quieter, their presence a gentle pressure in the air. They listen to the world above, their faces alight with hope and curiosity. Some reach upward, their hands passing through the stone as if trying to touch the sunlight, the laughter, the life that moves on without them. You pause in a small alcove where a single shaft of light falls on a pile of broken tiles. The pattern is familiar, a fragment of the old city's crest, its colors faded but still vibrant in the sunbeam. You kneel and trace the lines with your fingers, feeling the warmth of the stone, the pulse of memory that thrums beneath your touch. The ghosts gather around you, their forms glowing softly in the light. For a moment, the boundary between worlds grows thin, and you sense their gratitude, their pride in the city that endures. Above, the city's rhythms continue. A wedding procession passes, the sound of song and celebration drifting down through the cracks. A child's laughter echoes, bright and clear, the distant call of a street vendor hawking sweet cakes and honeyed wine. The ghosts listen, their faces alight with memory. They remember their own weddings, their own laughter, their own small joys. In these moments, the past and present mingle, and the city is whole. You wander through the tunnels, guided by the gentle glow of lichen and the soft presence of the spirits. In one chamber, you find a group of ghosts gathered around a patch of sunlight that filters through a broken grate. They sit in silence, their faces upturned, their eyes closed in peace. You realize that the light is a blessing, a gift from the world above, a reminder that even in darkness, hope endures. As you move on, you pass beneath the great temple of Almalexia. The stone above your head vibrates with the sound of chanting, the rhythm of prayer. The ghosts gather here, too, drawn by the echoes of devotion. Some kneel in silent worship, their forms bathed in the golden light that seeps through the cracks. Others stand watch, their faces serene. The boundary between worlds is thin here, and you feel the presence of the goddess herself, a gentle warmth that soothes the restless dead and brings peace to the haunted stones. You pause, offering your own prayer, a wish for peace, for memory, for the endurance of hope. The ghosts gather close, their forms shimmering with gratitude. You are their witness, their storyteller, their bridge to the world above. In your presence, the city's story endures, its memory alive in every step, every breath, every heartbeat. At last, you find yourself at the edge of the old city, where the tunnels open onto a wide cavern. Here, the stone is bare, the air cool and still. You stand in silence, listening to the distant sounds of the living city above. The ghosts gather around you, their faces filled with hope and pride. They do not seek to return, nor do they wish to be forgotten. Instead, they keep watch, guardians of memory, silent witnesses to the city's endless cycle of loss and renewal. You turn back, your heart full of gratitude and wonder. The path ahead is uncertain, but you walk with new resolve, the wisdom of the ghost a steady presence at your side. The city endures, not just in stone and memory, but in the hearts of all who remember, all who care. Sometimes, though rarely, the world above and the world below brush together, and a living soul finds their way into the forgotten heart of Old Mournhold. It might be a lost child, a scholar with more curiosity than caution, or a priest seeking answers in the silence where the gods once walked. The descent is never quite the same. For some, it begins with a door left ajar in a dusty cellar. For others, a dream that leads them down winding stairs by moonlight. However they arrive, the living are greeted not with fear, but with a hush, a gentle pause, as if the city itself is holding its breath. On this day, it is a young scholar who wanders below. Her name is Anara, and she comes from the new city above, her mind filled with questions and her satchel heavy with books and ink. She has heard the stories whispered in the taverns and temples, tales of lost halls, hidden treasures, and the ghosts who linger in the dark. But she does not come for gold or glory. She comes for understanding, for the quiet truth that lies beneath centuries of dust and rumor. Anara's lantern throws a trembling circle of light as she moves through the ancient corridors. The air is cool and smells of stone and memory. Her footsteps echo, but she is not alone. The spirits of Old Mournhold gather in the shadows, drawn by the warmth of her living presence. They watch her with curiosity, their forms flickering at the edge of her vision, gentle, cautious, and quietly hopeful. She pauses in a wide hall where the ceiling arches overhead like the ribs of some vast, slumbering beast. Here, the ghosts are strongest. The priestess Serifi, radiant as ever, stands near a broken altar. The council of spirits lingers at the edge of the gloom. Children's laughter echoes faintly from the corners. Anara kneels, setting her lantern beside her, and opens her journal. She sketches the altar, the faded murals, the patterns of dust on the floor. She writes what she sees and what she feels. The hush, the weight of history, the sense of being watched by gentle eyes. The ghosts draw closer, their presence a gentle pressure in the air. Serifi steps forward, her form shimmering with a soft, golden light. She does not speak, but her meaning is clear. Welcome, seeker. You are safe here. Anara feels a warmth in her chest, a sense of being seen and understood. She bows her head in gratitude, and the air stirs with a whisper of approval. As she explores, the spirits guide her steps. They lead her through halls lined with empty niches, past wells that still reflect the faces of those who once drank from their depths, and into chambers where the murals come alive in the flickering light. At each turn, Anara pauses, listening to the silence, feeling the stories that linger in the stone. Sometimes she catches a glimpse of a face in the corner of her eye, a child with a flower, a warrior in battered armor, a scholar with ink-stained fingers. Each time, the vision fades before she can speak, leaving only a sense of peace and gentle longing. In one chamber, she finds a mosaic depicting the city's founding. The chimer and dweemer standing side by side, their hands joined in hope. The colors are faded, but the artistry is clear. Anara traces the lines with her finger, marveling at the detail, the care, the love that went into its creation. She wonders about the artist, who they were, what dreams they held, whether they knew their work would endure long after their name was forgotten. The ghosts gather around her, sharing in her wonder. They remember the artist, the day the mosaic was finished, the celebration that followed. For a moment, Anara feels their memories as her own, the sound of laughter, the taste of honeyed wine, the warmth of sunlight on stone. She closes her eyes and lets the sensations wash over her, grateful for the gift of remembrance. As she moves deeper into the city, Anara comes to a small courtyard open to the sky. Here, the ghosts are quieter, their forms barely more than a shimmer in the air. She sits on a broken bench, her journal open in her lap, and writes of what she has seen, the beauty, the sorrow, the hope that endures even in the darkest corners. She writes for herself, but also for the city, for the ghosts who linger, for the memories that refuse to fade. The spirits watch in silence, their faces filled with gratitude. They know that their stories will be carried back to the world above, that their memory will endure in the words of the living. For them, this is enough. They do not seek to return, nor do they wish to be forgotten. They are content to watch, to guide, to keep the city's story alive in the hearts of those who care to listen. As dusk falls, Anara prepares to leave. She retraces her steps, guided by the gentle glow of her lantern and the soft presence of the spirits. At the entrance to the upper world, she pauses, turning back for one last look. The ghosts gather in the shadows, their forms glowing softly in the fading light. Serifi stands at the front, her eyes shining with pride and hope. Anara bows, her heart full of gratitude. She promises to remember, to write, to share the story of Old Mournhold with all who will listen. The air stirs with a gentle breeze, carrying the scent of myrrh and lavender. The ghosts smile, their faces bright with hope. As Anara climbs the stairs to the world above, the city below grows quiet once more, its secrets safe, its story secure. But the memory of her visit lingers. The ghosts speak of her in hushed tones, their voices filled with wonder and pride. They know that, for a little while, the boundary between worlds grew thin, and the living and the dead walked together in peace. And as the night deepens, the city sleeps, its stones cradling the dreams of the dead, its halls echoing with stories untold, its ghosts keeping watch over the dreams and sorrows of the past. For in Old Mournhold, nothing is ever truly lost. Every visitor, every memory, every whispered word is woven into the fabric of the city, a light in the darkness, a promise that as long as someone remembers, the city endures. As night falls over Mournhold, the world above grows quiet. The golden light of day fades from the towers and plazas, replaced by the soft silver glow of Masser and Secunda rising over the city's rooftops. In the depths below, Old Mournhold breathes with the rhythm of memory. The air cools, and a hush settles across the ancient stones. It is a sacred time, when the boundaries between past and present, living and dead, grow thin as silk. You walk the familiar corridors, your footsteps muffled by the age-softened floor. The lichen's glow deepens to a gentle blue, casting long shadows that dance along the walls. The spirits of the city begin to gather, drawn by a silent summons. They drift from their resting places, through ruined halls, across empty plazas, down winding stairways, each one a thread in the tapestry of the city's night. Their destination is the Tipple of the One, a vast chamber at the heart of Old Mournhold. Once, this was the city's soul, a place of worship, celebration, and solace. Now, it is a sanctuary for the restless and the at peace alike. The temple's great doors stand open, their carvings worn smooth by centuries of hands. Inside, the air is cool and still, filled with the faint scent of incense and the memory of prayers whispered in the darkness. You enter quietly, joining the gathering of ghosts. The space is vast, its ceiling lost in shadow, its walls lined with statues of the three and countless saints. At the center stands a great altar, its surface polished by time and devotion. Around it, the spirits assemble in a wide circle, priests and priestesses, children and elders, warriors and artisans. Their forms shimmer in the moonlight that filters through cracks in the ceiling, their faces serene and luminous. As the last of the ghosts arrive, a hush falls over the temple. Sarifi, the gentle priestess, steps forward. Her presence is radiant, her eyes shining with kindness and peace. She raises her hands, and a soft note rises in the air, a single, pure tone that vibrates through the stone and into your bones. One by one, the spirits join her, their voices weaving together in a song older than the city itself. The melody is low and slow, a lullaby for the soul. It tells of hope and heartbreak, of love and loss, of the endless cycle of day and night, memory and forgetting. The song drifts through the temple, curling around pillars and statues, seeping into every crack and crevice. It is a balm for the weary, a blessing for the lost, a promise that no one is ever truly alone. You sit among the ghosts, letting the music wash over you. The worries of the world above fade away, replaced by a deep sense of peace. The song is not just for the dead, but for the living as well, for all who carry the weight of memory, for all who seek comfort in the darkness. The spirits sing not of vengeance or regret, but of acceptance and hope. Their voices rise and fall at the tide, gentle and unyielding, carrying the city's story into the heart of the night. As the song draws to a close, the temple glows with a soft, golden light. The ghosts bow their heads, their forms growing fainter as they return to their rest. Sarifi lingers a moment longer, her gaze meeting yours. She smiles, and you feel her blessing settle over you, a warmth that will remain long after the song is faded. You leave the temple in silence, your heart full of gratitude and wonder. The city is quiet now, its stones bathed in moonlight, its ghosts at peace. You walk the empty corridors, the lullaby echoing in your mind, a gentle reminder that you are part of something vast and enduring. In Old Mournhold, night is not an ending, but a beginning, a time for reflection, for healing, for dreams. The spirits keep watch, their song a shield against sorrow, their presence a comfort in the darkness. And as you drift towards sleep, you know that the city endures, its story alive in every stone, every memory, every whispered note. Night in Old Mournhold is a tapestry woven from silence and memory. After the song in the Temple of the One, the city settles into a hush so deep it feels as if the stones themselves are sleeping. The lichen's glow softens, painting the corridors and plazas in gentle blue and green, and the air is cool and still. Above, Maser and Secunda cast their silver gaze through the cracks and broken arches, illuminating the city's bones with a light that is both mournful and serene. You walk these quiet halls, feeling the gentle presence of the spirits all around. The ghosts of Old Mournhold do not vanish with the coming of night. Instead, they move more softly, their forms growing faint and luminous, their faces peaceful. Some drift through the plazas, pausing beneath the arches to gaze up at the moonlit sky. Others gather in small groups in the shadow of old statues or sit alone by the dry fountains, lost in thought or prayer. The city is at rest, its wounds soothed by the gentle balm of darkness. In the Library of Twilight, a few spectral scholars linger, their voices hushed as they pore over fading tomes or recite ancient poems to one another. The words float through the air like drifting petals, settling on the stones and echoing softly in the silence. In the amphitheater, the memory of music lingers, a faint hum in the air, as if the city itself is humming a lullaby to its sleeping ghosts. You pause in the wide plaza at the city's heart, where the old fountain stands empty and the wind moves gently through the broken columns. Here, the spirits gather for their nightly ritual, a quiet gathering, not of words or song, but of presence and remembrance. They stand in a wide circle, their faces turned toward the sky, their eyes reflecting the moonlight. For a few moments, there is only stillness, a peace so profound it feels as if time itself has stopped. Sarifi, the gentle priestess, moves among them, her presence a soft glow in the night. She carries a small lantern, its flames steady and golden, and with each step she takes, the air grows warmer, the shadows less deep. She pauses before each spirit, offering a blessing, a smile, a touch that eases old pain and brings comfort. The ghosts bow their heads in gratitude, their forms growing brighter, their burdens lighter. You watch as the ritual unfolds, feeling the peace settle into your own bones. The city's sorrow and longing are still present, but they are tempered by hope, by the knowledge that memory endures, that love is never truly lost. The ghosts do not seek to return to the world of the living, nor do they wish to forget. Instead, they cherish the stories they hold, the bonds they share, the promise that as long as someone remembers, the city will never fade. As the ritual ends, the spirits drift away, their forms dissolving into the night. Some linger a moment longer, their faces turned toward you, their eyes filled with gratitude and trust. You are their witness, their storyteller, the living thread that binds past and present. In your heart, you carry their hopes, their dreams, their gentle promise that peace is possible, even in the shadow of loss. You wander the city one last time, moving through the moonlit halls and silent plazas, the gentle presence of the ghosts a comfort at your side. The city feels lighter now, its sorrow eased, its memory secure. You know that you will return to the world above changed, your own story forever entwined with the story of Old Mournhold. As dawn approaches, the first light of day touches the highest arches, and the city stirs once more. The ghosts retreat to their resting places, their forms fading into the stones, their voices lingering in the air like the last notes of a lullaby. The city sleeps, but its promise endures, a promise of memory, of hope, of peace. And as you ascend the winding stairs to the world above, you carry with you the blessing of Old Mournhold, the knowledge that nothing is ever truly lost, that every story matters, and that in the quiet darkness, the ghosts keep watch, their presence a gentle comfort to all who remember. As dawn's first light touches the highest towers of New Mournhold, the ancient city below stirs in its own quiet way. The ghosts of Old Mournhold, comforted by the rituals of night and the presence of a living witness, begin to withdraw into the stone and shadow, their nightly vigil complete. The hush that settles is not one of emptiness, but of fulfillment, a city at peace with its past, its story gently held in the hearts of those who remember. You stand at the threshold between worlds, the winding stair behind you, and the promise of daylight ahead. The air is cool and still, filled with the lingering notes of the temple's lullaby and the soft blessing of Sarithi's final smile. All around, the city's memory breathes, in the faded banners that flutter in unseen breezes, and the mosaics that glow with the last traces of moonlight, and the well whose waters reflect not just faces, but the very soul of Mournhold. For a moment, you pause, letting the silence wash over you. You remember the faces of the ghosts you have met, the gentle priestess, the sorrowful healer, the wise council, the restless dead, and the contented spirits. Each one has left a mark on you, a thread woven into the tapestry of your own story. Their hopes, regrets, and joys are now part of your memory, as real and enduring as the stones beneath your feet. You think of the living city above, bustling and bright, unaware of the world that cradles it from below. You know now that Old Mournhold is not a place of despair, but of endurance, a sanctuary where the past is cherished, not shunned. The ghosts do not haunt out of bitterness, but out of love. Love for their city, for their people, for the fragile beauty of memory itself. As you ascend the final steps, the light grows stronger, golden, and warm. The air changes, carrying with it the sense of morning fresh bread, dew on grass, the distant tang of incense from the waking temples. You emerge into the world above, blinking in the brightness, your heart full of gratitude and wonder. Yet you are not alone. The blessing of Old Mournhold remains with you, a gentle weight, a promise, a song that lingers at the edge of hearing. You carry the stories of the ghosts, their wisdom and their longing, their laughter and their tears. You are their witness, their storyteller, their hope that the city's memory will never fade. In the days and nights that follow, you find yourself returning to the lessons of the deep city. You notice the way the sunlight glints on the new stones, echoing the glow of lichen far below. You hear the laughter of children and remember the spectral dances in the amphitheater. You see the kindness in a stranger's smile and recall the gentle touch of Sarithi's hand. Every moment is richer, every sorrow gentler, every joy deeper, for you have walked the halls of memory and learned that nothing is ever truly lost. Sometimes, when the city above is quiet and the moon is high, you feel the presence of the ghost at your side. You sense their pride in the living, their peace in the knowledge that their story endures. You light a candle in a quiet corner, or leave a flower on a windowsill, small offerings of remembrance and thanks. And in those moments, you know that you are part of something vast and beautiful, a chain of memory that stretches from the first stones of Mournhold to the last whisper of its name. Old Mournhold sleeps, but it does not fade. Its ghosts keep watch, gentle and wise, their stories woven into the fabric of the city and the hearts of all who remember. The well at the city's heart still glows with the light of memory, the temple still echoes with the song of peace, and the wind still carries the promise that hope endures, even in the quietest darkness. As you close your eyes and drift towards sleep, the lullaby of Old Mournhold follows you, a song of memory and mercy, of sorrow and solace, of love that endures beyond the boundaries of time. In your dreams, you walk once more among the gentle spirits, and you know that, as long as someone remembers, the city will never truly be lost. The ghosts of Old Mournhold sleep, but their story lives on in you, in the city above, and in every heart that cherishes the beauty of memory and the promise of peace.